to you. You are listening to The Music Business Buddy with me, Jonny Amos, podcasting out of Birmingham in England. I'm the author of the book, The Music Business for Music Creators, which is available in hardback, paperback, ebook format. I'm a music creator myself with a variety of credits on major labels, indie labels as a writer-producer. I'm a consultant, an artist manager and a senior lecturer in both music business and music creation. Wherever you are and whatever you do, consider yourself welcome to this podcast and to a part of the community that is around it. I'm here to try and educate and inspire music creators from all over the world in their quest to achieving their goals by gaining a greater understanding of the business of music. Okay, so in this week's episode, I am talking to a very, very interesting young lady by the name of Anja Jasmine, or some people know her as Anja, A-N-J-A. Okay, now, let me tell you something, guys. I first met Anja maybe about a year and a half ago at an event in London, and I was so impressed by her and by what she does, all the different things that she does. She's very young, but she's already got an incredibly well-rounded view of where she sits in the music industry. She is superb. Some of you may know her already on social media. She's quite popular there under Anja J or Anja Music, and she's a incredible guitar player. She's also a producer, a vocalist, a songwriter, an artist in various guises. I really wanted to, I'll level with you, right? So she came to my studio a couple of weeks ago, right? Because, outside of being a podcaster and everything else, I'm a music producer, right? I work with a lot of artists. So I was having a session with her and we were just having a cup of tea and we were talking and we were talking about her social media. And whilst we were just kind of talking, it became abundantly clear to me that her knowledge base on how social media marketing works far exceeds many, many people I know. And so I said to her, Anja, how would you feel about, just coming on the podcast and talking about this? And she said, yeah, all right, great. So that was that. And so here we are a couple of weeks on, and I got the chance to talk to her and just kind of understand, her perspective. She's a fine example of a future music industry professional that I think is going to do very, very, very good things. She's already doing great things, but I think there's her greatest work is ahead of her. And so I wanted you to meet her, right, to shine a light on who she is and what her perspective is on music and on life. So I'm going to hand over to the interview and enjoy. Anja, welcome to the Music Business Buddy. It's good to see you again. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you so much. It's really cool to be on here.
Oh, it's cool. I should say this, of course. So you and I were together in the studio, 2 or 3 weeks ago or something, and we were just chatting, weren't we, about about your social media and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, wow, you know your stuff so well. So do you remember I said to you as we were having a cup of tea, I was like, do you want to come on the podcast? You're like, yeah, all right. So that's what led us to this moment right now. So I appreciate it. I think you actually, a lot more than you realise when it comes to getting things to trend and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, so I'll ask you the first question, Anja, because it is about that. So let's talk about social media growth, right? So you've created, some viral moments and subsequently built a good following on your guitar channel and stuff. Are you able to kind of explain how that happened for you?
Yeah, of course. So, social media, sometimes I feel like I know what I'm doing and sometimes I just really don't. And I think that the way that I like to explain it is, yes, there's strategy behind it. And, I can kind of get into all of that as to how I kind of managed to eventually pull it off. But the main thing that I kind of think about it is, I feel like every time you post a good bit of content on social media, it's like putting a lottery ticket in. And the more lottery tickets you put in, of course, the higher your chances become of winning that lottery, of getting in the algorithm. And that's all that I was ever kind of trying to work towards. So I guess, I started my music page probably about 6 years ago for the same page that I'm still working on, posting, trying to stick to a strict rule of posting minimum once a week. And through most of that time over the last 6 years, I've been successful. So obviously that's the first sort of thing, consistency is a really big factor in all of it. And I guess I learned a lot over that time as well. So the first 4 years of me posting, all of it was just, just trying to get content out. I wasn't really sure where I was going. I wasn't expecting anything big to happen. I was kind of just trying to get my foot in the door and give myself the best chances and increase my stats. And I started to do more research, I think, over the last 2 years, and I started to see a lot of trends going around where people would just make these really almost low quality videos where they would just put text over the screen with themselves and be like, hey, I'm a small creator and I'm still small enough to reply to all the comments and interact with all my fans. If you want to help support me, then please like and save this post. And it was just people politely asking for, hey, I just need a bit of help here. And I saw that trend going around and I thought, oh, I'll jump on that. I mean, I might as well just see if it does anything.
Yeah.
And this was about, I think this was 2 years ago from now, about 4 years into my journey. And I made that post and I put it out and I didn't expect a thing to happen. I just kind of was like, oh, I saw the stats the first day. It got 200 likes. It was crashing and burning. And then out of nowhere, it started to spike. And then it went absolutely mental. And so many people were finding this post. And I realized that actually there were a lot of things that I did that allowed that post to trend. There were things like trending audios that people used to use, where if that audio, if you were to use it and then a lot of other people would use it afterwards, it would trend and then push you in that algorithm. So it just shoved me out to loads of people's algorithms and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, I'm actually reaching lots of people's feed, which is crazy. And I guess something I can say about it is sometimes you don't always realize that you're actually doing quite a good marketing thing in the moment, but over time you accumulate knowledge and kind of learn how to feed that back in, if that makes sense. And I didn't realize I did it, but then I afterwards, looking back, I was like, oh, now I see why this worked. I just didn't realize that I actually did put the right steps in place.
Wow, that's fascinating, because we hear it a lot the other way around, don't we? Mm-hmm. Do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. But when you sort of retrospectively look at it like that and sort of reverse engineer it after you've done it, you go, oh, it was this and this. Could you tell us a little bit about the trending audio aspect there? Was that kind of is that tagging a particular song that's on its rise or on its way up? Or was it a piece of audio that you pipe into your own video?
Yeah, I mean, so trending audios, I'm not entirely sure of how effective they are now, because this was a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, roughly, when this happened for me. I still think it does work, though. So it's kind of if you imagine if lots of people use a trending audio, it's kind of almost like its own hashtag. So if people are involved with that sort of hashtag, it, posts that are high up in that hashtag will get pushed out, to those people that have interest in it. And the same sort of thing happened with trending audio. So I happened to use one from, there was a guitarist called RJ Passon, and he does these really cool, trendy sort of guitar riffs with lots of glitching and editing on them. And I noticed that his page was growing really frantically. So I chose to use one of his trending audios. And it just so happens that the one that I chose then started trending after I used it, which means that I was the first to get my foot in the door. So it was almost like a tactic there. It was okay, this one has good potential of trending on his page. I went scrolling through his reels to find one that had potential for trending before I chose that audio. And you kind of have to almost predict it. It's almost a bit like stocks and trading, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's you have to predict what will do well first. And if you get your foot in the door first, then you will get the best rewards back if you're successful.
Right, and if you're a bit late to the party, then you don't.
Exactly, that's it.
Wow. So pardon my innocence here, Anya, right? So, because there might be other people listening going, what does trending audio, what does that really mean? So is it you covering that song? Is it the actual recording of that song that you're tagging within the post, or something else?
Yeah, so it is that actual original audio. So for instance, on that guitarist page, whose audio that I used, it would have been the original recording that he uploaded to his page. So what you do is on his post, it will have a little a little name saying the audio just on the post, and you click on it, and then there's an option to create a reel using that audio. So
Gotcha.
That's how you kind of make the link there.
So there's a visual aspect to your post, but all of the audio that goes within your visual post is that audio?
Yeah, so for that one, it's not something that I did much before, because obviously it's a music page of my own, so I wanted it to be all my own music. But then when I started doing research and seeing so many people talking about using trending audios, I was like, okay, I guess I have to do a few trends along with my own stuff. And of course, like I credited RJ in, in everything, and tagged him in everything, basically, so people knew that it wasn't my audio.
Wow, fascinating. So actually that all falls in line with, like, when this podcast first started, episode 2, I talked a lot about music distribution. And one of the things I spoke about in there was social media content IDs and the importance of them for tracking audio, and so that things can actually trend, and so that you can actually collect on things when they do trend and that kind of thing. I mean, that's a part of it, I suppose, but so that all falls in line with that. That's absolutely fascinating. So actually, really, to put a finer point on it, it's your ability to be able to predict what you think is going to blow up that forms a part of what informs your decision on what to use.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's just kind of almost being able to predict what has the best chance of kind of winning that lottery in a way.
Wow, gosh. But of course, with all that, you've got to have the talent to be able to back it up, right? So that people can buy into you and stuff. And, you are an absolutely kick-ass musician, so it's true. So it's not like, come and help me, I'm a charity case. It's more like, no, this is your introduction. I think you might like, if you stick around, and you might like, what I do. And of course people do, right? Because you put out amazing content. What are the key differences for you between sort of Instagram and TikTok from your perspective? If we were to compare sort of, a TikTok post against, like an Instagram reel, have you found one to be more successful for you than the other? And what are the differences?
So I definitely feel that Instagram has been a more successful platform for me, but that's probably mainly been because all my energy's been focused onto Instagram. So I guess there's a few different sides of my career, and I found that with Instagram, when I would have videos trend and be successful, it's like I would actually end up getting more projects through, more work. I'd make more connections, I'd get a lot of things in my DM requests, and it just felt like it was bringing a more stable audience to me, and it was bringing work opportunities, and people would actually stick around and come and reply, comment again. And on TikTok, it's like my following on TikTok is about the same as my Instagram, literally maybe 1,000 or 2,000 followers different. It's pretty much the same. And on TikTok, I would just use it to repost basically everything I do on Instagram. I didn't put much effort into it because I kind of almost always viewed it as a more unstable platform. So I just didn't have as much interest in it because of that. People on TikTok are constantly on their For You page. They don't have a home page the way that Instagram does. So when people on TikTok follow you, they're not going to see you necessarily pop back up again. So what happens on TikTok is you have to constantly be in the algorithm. Otherwise, no matter how many followers you have, they'll never see you again because they're only ever on the For You page. So right. I hate that feature. I hate that everyone's on the For You page. There's a little thing on TikTok on your feed where you can choose to click on seeing your followers, seeing who you're following to see their posts, but no one does. Everyone's constantly on the For You page, so you're constantly having to break into the algorithm to have a chance at success. And TikTok for me was less appealing because of that, but it's also very important for artists, and obviously my big goal is to be a successful artist. That's my main dream and my main passion, so I'm having to use it and I'm having to kind of work my way with it.
Fascinating. Well, we'll come back to that subject in a bit for sure. It's really interesting to hear you say that, because I've had other guests on the podcast, Anya, that have said a very, very similar thing to what you've just said there, almost where there's a little bit more kind of trust and less speed to Instagram, and it acts as more of a shop window for opportunity. Come and work with me, I'm here, as opposed to a kind of slightly more, I don't know if this is the wrong term, but flash in the pan, very, very quickly gone, recycled on TikTok. There's a very interesting article just come out on Billboard actually just this week about how the incredibly low traction rate from TikTok to audio streams, and what that conversion rate looks like, and how it's dipping and dipping.
Oh,
so Yeah. It's an interesting. Well, these things go up and down, though, right? So but that's I guess that's another story. But it's just so interesting to see that what you've. I mean, what have you learned about social media marketing other than the things that you've mentioned there? Is there any other kind of lessons that you've learned along the way so far?
I guess one thing that might be useful to share is I guess understanding how to cater to each platform and kind of analyzing what you've already done and moving from there. So, for instance, I've seen so many people that will post the same sort of content over and over again for years, and they've got the consistency part down, which is the first step. But then they don't ever look and analyze their own content to see what did a little bit better than the other stuff. They'll just keep posting the same style of content, expecting it to blow up, when actually, if it is taking you years, it doesn't have to. The only reason it took me years is because I had to learn about what people wanted to see as well as what I wanted to put out and find that intersection where both sides are happy. It took so long to find that, and so many people don't analyze. They don't do research into social media to see, what's trending right now, how to actually promote your page. There's loads of really good channels on YouTube which talk about social media marketing, and most people won't bother. They won't bother to actually go and watch all those videos and actually take it in and treat it almost a bit like a job. And I think also that thing I said about catering to different platforms, TikTok has become a massively, much more informal platform. So, people don't want to sit there and watch these high-end, music video clips on TikTok anymore because it just looks like an ad to them. They're not interested in it. Whereas on Instagram, that can work a little bit. Sometimes people do like to see the more professional side. So, with artists and bands and stuff, generally what I think seems to be the running theme is Instagram is used more to look a bit more like a professional page and have a bit more of the high-end filmed stuff. And then TikTok, on the other hand, the things that are successful is people just picking up their phone and they're just literally just chatting shit. Chatting shit and just posting it for a minute. And people just want to hear about opinions, things that they can feedback their opinions on. They want to gain something from it, People don't think about that as well. When you're putting content out, people, when they're scrolling, don't mean to be, but everyone's selfish when they're scrolling. When they're on a doom scroll, everyone's selfish. They don't care about what you're promoting. They don't care. You have to be providing them something which gains their interest. Otherwise, they're not going to give a flying shit about what you're putting out there.
Yeah. Wow, fascinating insight. Well, of course, talking about Instagram there, it's kind of, well, both channels, but particularly your Instagram, it showcases you and what you do brilliantly. And I know there's many strings to your bow because there's a lot of things that you can do, but a lot of people know you as a guitarist. Can I ask you about your work as a session guitarist? Can you tell us a little bit about that kind of outside of, the small screen, let's say, and what that looks like outside?
Yeah, of course. So working as a session guitarist has been actually quite unintentional but amazing at the same time. Just for context, the reason why it was unintentional was because I found it easiest to record and post guitar videos, so I just kept doing it and it kept getting traction, and then I accidentally found success in that path when I was trying to be an artist. But I love it. I bloody love it. So, if that had to come first, that's so fine. But yeah, what that looks like for me is, I started touring with an artist called Delilah Bond, and she's absolutely incredible. And I found something that she put out in January, I think it was, where she was looking for a permanent session guitarist to be part of her band to do her tours. And I was like, okay, well, I have to jump on this. And it was really funny because I actually was meant to be going to Japan when she had her tour. And I thought, okay, well, it's a whole interview process. There's multiple steps. If I actually manage to pull this off, then I'll move my trip. I won't go to Japan for 2 months. I'll move it till next year. And then I actually pulled it off and shat myself because I was like, oh, shit, I hope I can amend these plane flights because they were $1,000. So I just jumped in. I had a good feeling. I had a good intuition about it. So that's been incredible. And I've toured with her twice, I think, around Europe now, short tours. We've done a few shows around the UK. And we have a big tour coming up, actually. So the end of October, we're doing a whole Europe tour, and then we have a week off, and then we're doing a whole UK tour. So I have 3 weeks of on and off touring that I'm very, very excited for.
Wow, that's wonderful. Okay. And would it be fair to say then that your social media growth was kind of like a form of currency that helps to go, hey, this is a bit about me over here?
I think so, because the thing is that Delilah Bond is an extremely fair person. She's very, she's very kind, and like I think she's the sort of person that would be willing to take on people regardless of their social media following.
That's nice.
But I do also think that even if you have somebody that is very like that, it's hard to not let numbers kind of persuade a little bit to how you perceive that person, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much of my following made an impact, but being involved in that side of things as a guitarist, it kind of allowed me to have the opportunity, because maybe I never would have seen it, if I wasn't involved in that side on social media. And I may have never found that post that she put out about her needing a session guitarist. So it's hard to say how it would have gone if my page was maybe how it was 2 years ago before things started to really take off. But she definitely auditioned quite a few people, I think, that, like, regardless of following, she was very open to that. So I don't know, maybe it didn't make an impact in that scenario.
Yeah. It certainly would have bettered you as a musician, though, being like challenging yourself the way you do, because some of the stuff you play is so technical and so impressive that you've obviously improved your. If you were to have erased all the social media years that you've done, you maybe wouldn't be as good as you are now, as a musician. And is that fair to say? Has it been a big part of your development?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I really appreciate you saying that. I still feel like I have such a long way to go with all of it.
You're very modest, Dania.
No, but I genuinely feel that, though. It's I'm happy where I'm at. Don't get me wrong, I'm really happy where I'm at, but I still see like quite a long path ahead of where I want to get to.
Good for you. Well, you're ambitious. That's good. Well, before we jump to the future and what's coming next, can we just jump back a little bit, right? So you studied, I remember you telling me you studied a degree in music production at Leeds, is that right?
Yeah, that's it, Leeds College of Music.
Brilliant place. Okay, so how was your educational experience, and how important was it to kind of setting you up with where you're at now?
I think that it was a really good push in the right direction, and I don't know if things would have lined up the way that they did, let's say, if I'd gone to uni to study an academic subject, which I may have done. I was really strong with actually Japanese when I was in school, because I did that for one of my A levels, and I did think about going into that realm, and then I was like, oh, maybe I could do something like translation. And then I started thinking about it more, and I thought, I don't think I want to do that. That might grate away at me for the rest of my life. I love Japanese so much, though. So I don't know how the paths would have been different, but I know that it would have been very different if I didn't study music production. It really was like just being in that environment of, I was living with musicians for the entire time that I was there. In my first year during COVID, when I went, the entire building that we were in was only music students for Leeds College of Music, the whole building. So there were floors and floors and floors of us, and people weren't the best at keeping to social distancing and all of that at the time, so we were still having jams in people's kitchens, and just there was always somebody to knock on their door and be like, hey, I just made this thing, do you want to come check it out? And just being in that really creative and inspiring space, especially at a time where we had to be inside and not be going out and doing things because of COVID, it was a really strangely motivating time to be at for me. I didn't find COVID a very depressing time because I had a studio in my room. So I was just I was very lucky, very blessed in that way.
Interesting. Wow. And actually you built a network, obviously, of music creators and fellow like-minded people at that time that you still work with now.
Yeah, no, so there's quite a few people that I'm still really strongly in contact with them. It's funny you say that, because literally my housemate that I lived with for 2 years at uni, I'm now working on a short film with him to write some modern rap, hip hop instrumentals, and there's so
really?
many yeah, it's been a recent thing. Just I'm just doing a little bit of help in the film music department with him. So it's there's so many connections that can come from that, and I do think also that just being in that environment constantly kind of pushes you into the right realm. I don't know how much music I would have done if I wasn't surrounded by the right people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's wonderful listening to you know, Anya, because you work so hard, and there's so many different things that you do. You know, just like casually mentioning that there, it's like it's so interesting. I think it's really inspiring actually for you know a lot of the younger generation to listen to you and go, oh wow, yeah, you can do this, and this. It's difficult to do everything all at once, isn't it? But you can do lots and lots of different things, you know. So you know, you're known, as I mentioned earlier, you know, to some of your followers, for example, on social media, as a guitarist in sort of rock and metal. But of course, you know, you're an outstanding producer as well, I think, and you're also a superb vocalist and songwriter. So, can you tell us a little bit about your artist project moving forward, and what you want that to look like?
Yeah, no, of course. It was very kind of you. I think so with all of that side of things, my passion's always been to be a singer, I think, above being a guitarist. Like, I love playing guitar. It really is so fun to do that on stage, but you know, I've always wanted to be an artist of myself. I think one of the first things that I've been doing with the music has been creating it. Like, since I started even playing an instrument, I've always created music. And I just want to be able to share that, and you know, that's why I learned how to produce, because I wanted to get what's in my head, you know, into a DAW so that I can really like make my own sound with it. And you know, I'm starting to debut this artist career under the name Anja, and we have obviously a music video that's coming up that I spoke to you about before. So
Yeah.
there's a pretty strong debut going. I'm a bit nervous about it because I just don't know how well it will perform, but I'm trying to just not really fixate on that. I'm just going to sort of just let it do its thing and just keep putting things out there. And you know, I hope to, you know, do something like what Delilah Bond's doing, you know, in a bit of time if I work hard on it. Because she's got decent number of streams on Spotify. She's able to do tours and like make lots of ticket sales. She's got a really strong fan base that are like mental about her. Like, they love her so much and adore her. And you know, it's really sparked a motivation in me, I think, seeing that and touring with her as a guitarist, being like, oh, you know, I think I have something valuable to put out there, and I think that I could give a lot of good to the world if I was given the opportunity to. So I want to work hard and, you know, put out there. And I think something that I actually mentioned to you that, you know, I don't go into massive detail about, but you know, I got a bit unwell about 2 years ago with a condition that has not got enough research in it. And it's something that I want to speak up about one day. And if I have, you know, a platform that's big enough, I would love to do some fundraising to try and put into research to help people that went through what I did, because I had to find the internet. I had to use the internet to find out what I had, and a lot of doctors didn't even know what it was. And that's scary. That was very scary to go through something that intense and traumatic and not have anybody understand. So I want to be able to put out there. I want to put out goodness, and I just want to like really help people, I think. And if I had a platform to do that, as well as sharing my art fulfilling me, I'd be able to help a lot of people that have like experienced similar things to me.
Yeah, absolutely. God, well said. That's so wholesome. I love that. I think that you're the perfect voice for that as well. Do you know, it's funny, you know, Andy, because to me, you bear all of the hallmarks of someone that's going to be very, very, very successful. Not just based upon your capabilities and your talent. Loads of people got talent, right? But the thing that separates people is very often it's hard work, right? You know, the ability to just roll up your sleeves and get grafting. And you do that. You do it in abundance. I think I can only imagine that, like, when you're touring and you see those audiences, you already know what that feels like to face them, and I think that prepares you for when you step into the light, you know, yourself in your own right. And I think that in the next few years ahead of us, I think you're going to build a very, very loyal audience. And when that message is ready to be told, I think people will be ready, and I think people will be susceptible to it, and you'll be able to make a huge positive change. So it's really, really, really exciting. I'm really excited to see how it all unfolds, and I think that's one of the many reasons why I wanted to talk to you today and on the podcast right now, is because I boldly predict that things will grow for you, and it's really nice to document our conversation about this in 2025, rather than,
really
you know,
cool.
kind of going, you know, rather than going, hey, it's 2032, you know, Angie, yeah, she, you know, I think that's ahead of you, and I think you're ready for it as well, you know, and I think all the things that you've been doing the last few years have set yourself up really, really well for it, because you know what that pathway is going to look like. And you'll be able to bring so much positive change, you know, and on top of all that, you're just such a lovely person, and people are going to love that about you, you know.
Thank you.
I'm making you gush now. Sorry, Anya, I wasn't part of the plan. But yeah, you must be excited though.
I'm really excited, and like, you know, now that you mention it, I'm really happy that we have this kind of timestamp in the timeline of everything unfolding. And
me too.
You know what? It's like, I actually do have confidence in myself with this, and I don't say that with everything. You know, like I choose, you know, what I say that with, but I think genuinely with this artist career, I have a lot of confidence in it, and I think that I've spent so long trying to find exactly what I want to do and find a way to make it unique and also feel like me, and it's taken, you know, probably about 6 years of music creation before I've got to this point where I'm ready to debut, and I actually have like confidence this time. I actually have confidence, and I just think that as long as I stay persistent and I just keep focusing on putting out my art, you know, not shaping it for anyone else's, you know, reasons, just shaping it for my own, I think that it could be something very valuable, and I really hope that it does do well, and I'm willing to work hard on it for a long time, you know, to get it to where it needs to be. So I have confidence.
Yeah, you just explained the very essence of art right there, you know, by not being too premeditated, by molding into something that you think you should be. You know, it's very easy to fall into that trap, especially in, you know, in social media and everything that we see there, where it feels like we have to, you know, chase certain movements and that kind of thing. So you've done really, really well to navigate to this point in your career, because you could have done this a few years ago and rushed it, and you didn't. And yeah, that's I admire that, you know. Okay, well, I know you're a you know, a busy person, so I'll let you go for now. But you know, maybe we could revisit this in the future and talk again on the podcast.
Yeah, of course, that sounds amazing. And again, thank you for having me on here. It's been really cool.
Oh, pleasure, absolute pleasure. Oh, there you go, everybody. That's Anya. What a superstar. She's great. She's so level-headed. She's so impressive on so many levels. And I think it's really interesting to hear, you know, her ups and downs with social media, because it wasn't just like it can look, if we're not careful in the music industry, like we see people that have like flash in the pan moments or kind of, you know, overnight success, and it's become a cliche. And of course it's actually nonsense. You know, it takes years and years of graft to achieve anything that's worth its salt in life. We all know that, and music is no different. But I think what's really interesting about Anya is that she kind of just dug away at something for years and years and years, and then it started to work. And it was at that point that she started to go, okay, I can see that I did something and it worked, and that enables me to be able to explain how this worked. And that's fascinating. I think that's fascinating in any subsector of the music industries, but especially in social media marketing, where, you know, algorithms change and things change all the time. It's a constantly evolving landscape. So that was a snapshot into that, and also into the other lines of her work, and also what to expect next, because I boldly predict that big things are ahead of her in the music industry. So it was nice to be able to kind of just take, you know, a little snapshot of that and time print it in 2025, that we discussed this before things, I think, really blow up for us. So anyway, there we go. I hope you enjoyed a thing or two, and I hope you enjoyed listening to Anya and her thoughts, and have a great day, everybody. Until next time, may the force be with you.